certainly a lot of finger pointing going on over the rise in gun violence in recent weeks. The NYPD blames the increase in crime on having more criminals on the street, while some local leaders are accusing cops of a work slowdown. So joining us this morning is the NYPD Chief Department, Terence Monahan, to talk all about this and more. Chief Monahan, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well, sir. Thank you. You know, the NYPD claims that the data shows a direct connection between the rise in crime and inmates being released from Rikers. The police commissioner was here on Pix 11 talking about that as well. So can you explain the breakdown to us? Is it correct to say that inmates released from Rikers are low-level offenders?
Now, listen, what we're saying is that there are so many different factors that go into the idea of bringing this violence together. And release from Rikers, there's all sorts that are released, especially during COVID. A lot of parolees with long criminal histories, violent criminal histories were released. People who were serving their criminal sentence was released. And one of the main issues, too, is people aren't going into Rikers right now. Mm-hmm. We have numerous gun arrests that these individuals were put right back out on the street. Over 800 gun arrests because the court systems aren't open, that they haven't been able to be indicted at this point. So there's a lot of different factors going in. And just look at the pure numbers. Yeah. We have half the population of Rikers right now that we did at the same time last year.
Chief, this is something the mayor pushed for, right, to close Rikers down over the course of 10 years. So the NYPD is blaming the rise in crime on Rikers population, COVID, and the courts being shut down. The mayor is saying it's the economy, courts, and COVID. So there seems to be a difference of opinion here. Are you disagreeing with the mayor?
We're telling you the way that we see it. There's a lot going on. It's the people that are not in jail, that are not going into jail. It's the idea of COVID has had people cooped up for ages. There's no place for them to go, so they're hanging out on their street corners where others are there and disputes are occurring. There is a lot of animosity towards the police right now, a feeling that people can do what they want on the streets. We've had electeds ask us not to enforce quality of life laws, district attorneys who don't want to prosecute quality of life offenses, right, which emboldens a lot of people out on the street.
So
there are more guns on the street.
Let me break down two of the things you just said. One of them is what some elected officials are saying. Queens Councilman Donovan Richards, who's the chairman of the council's public safety committee, is accusing the NYPD of a work slowdown in certain areas. Can you address that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely not a work slowdown. Our men and women are out there in extremely dangerous times. On July 4th, we had two of our police officers, Sergeant Martinez and Police Officer Vieira, walk right into the middle of a shootout at Queensbridge and apprehend that individual with a gun. We had two of our other police officers Estevez and Lopez, driving their radio car in the 4-0 precinct as a bullet pierces the front of their windshield. Right. Our men and women are out there doing the job. Our detectives are out there identifying those who are doing this violence, like the arrest of Naheem Luke, who did the homicide of Brandon Hendricks, the basketball player in the 4-6. Right. There is no slowdown, but we do need direction from our communities on how they want to be policed. How important is quality of life offenses to them? Do we arrest people for being out on the street shooting dice? These are the things that we need community input on.
Understood. I know from talking to the police commissioner, and we had Chief Madry on as well, those conversations are ongoing and happening. I want to get to something else you said, which was the animosity towards police. And you were referencing it, saying it's an all-time high. How is that affecting officers doing their jobs on the streets?
Morale is low. When you hear all the rhetoric going on right now, as a police officer, it's tough to be a police officer. When you're going onto a street corner now, especially if you're doing any sort of quality of life enforcement, people are resisting. They're fighting with you right now. We've had numerous incidences just trying to quell situations on the street. Bottles, rocks start getting thrown at us. You saw that in Harlem just the other week. It is tough right now to be a police officer. And if you look, I'll go right into the bills that the city council have passed. The idea of the diaphragm bill, and I call it a diaphragm bill because we have no objection to the chokehold portion of it. But any cop who's ever fought with someone on the street, trying to get them into cuffs, there's a great possibility your knee is going to end up on that individual's back. And now this new law is criminalizing it. We try to avoid that, but in the midst of a fight, it's pretty hard to make sure that that doesn't happen, where you have to worry if someone who may have taken a shot at you, that you are now arresting, if your knee hits their back, you become the criminal.
And I want to address that specifically because the bill has not been signed yet by the mayor, although he says he will sign it despite his own concerns. Is the department lobbying against that specific portion of the bill, this reference of the diaphragm part of it you're referring to?
Absolutely. It is a dangerous portion of that bill. Speaking to our 5 district attorneys, they all thought it was a very ill-conceived portion. One of our district attorneys even thought that the bill as written was unconstitutional. Mm-hmm. But it's going to take a police officer to actually be arrested for that for us to be able to take it to court to prove that that is unconstitutional.
We're running out of time here, and I want to get to 2 more topics here. One of them being the high crime that we were alluding to earlier. If you had to, and this may be a loaded question, pinpoint one specific thing right now that you can do starting today that you're already maybe doing to get these guns off the streets, which seem to be a problem. I mean, we just had 6 shootings with 7 victims in the past 24 hours. What would that be?
Listen, we have to come up with a way to get the guns off the street. Obviously, we know anti-crime isn't out on the streets, but we have to reinvent it. We have to come up with a system working with our field intelligence officers, identifying where the guns are, who's carrying guns, and make those arrests. And then most importantly, after those arrests are made, make sure someone goes to jail for it and stays in jail.
Chief, earlier this week, there were rumors, and there have been rumors for a few weeks now, about you either being fired or resigning. Are you here to stay?
I'm here. I'm here to get this city back. Dedicated almost 39 years of my life to this agency, getting this city to what was the safest point it had ever been. To see it pull back right now, we need all to join together, the police and the communities. Let's get this city back to being the safest big city in the world.
I think everybody can agree on that. Chief Terence Monahan, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.